The thing that makes pickleball unique as a conditioning and physical activity is kind of centered upon the small court size of pickleball. And even though the court and playing field is really small, we still kind of expect to see the physical and aerobic benefits that are observed in other similar sports, just like tennis and whatnot. And additionally, another unique thing about pickleball is that unexpectedly, it could also provide us a great opportunity to practice on like certain skill sets that can be transferable over to other sports. Some of these skill sets can be like balance, proper hand-eye coordination, and proper like body movement and agility in the playing field. And just like to finish off with the uniqueness of pickleball, the small playing field actually makes it a lot easier to maintain like conversations with friends or opponents when you're playing, unlike tennis, which can be a little difficult in some regards. When we're looking at sports that are most similar to pickleball, the one that comes up to mind most often is tennis. And in tennis and pickleball, the serving rules are really similar. You serve behind a service line, in this case it's the blue rectangle, and you serve diagonally to your opponent. Additionally, the scoring system is also similar in both sports. You play games up to sets, and these sets lead to matches. And you just play best out of 3 sets with the goal of winning each set by 2 points or more. And when we're looking at similarities between tennis and pickleball, we just have to look at just like there's small differences too. In pickleball, you have to serve underhand, and you have to keep it below your hip too while you're serving too, so you can't really swing that far up on your arm. Additionally, there's also the no volley zone in pickleball. In this case, that would be the green area between the blue and the net. In this case, you cannot step your feet into that no volley zone. You have to keep your feet in the blue while playing at all times, or your opponent gets the point. Also, another sport that's similar to pickleball would be ping pong. And the only similarity that we see here is that pickleball paddles are basically a larger version of a ping pong paddle. So when we're looking at the movement and conditioning differences between the novice, myself, and the expert, my friend on the other end over there, the differences are mainly centered upon the gameplay and the techniques he uses in itself. So over the course of the video, you guys may have seen how I was like running from each side of the court and whatnot while he was kind of just like centered in the middle. One of the main differences is that he was able to control the pace of the game better, along with like where the ball was going to his side of the court, along with like to my side of the court. So just like the control of the pace, control of like the ball movement, and just like control of the agility in general of the whole set was really the big difference between the novice and the expert in this video. And it also helps with the fact that he plays with the pickleball league in the City Meridian as well. So one advantage of this conditioning program is the relative accessibility of the sport. All the pickleball paddles and all the balls needed to play any certain amount of games are relatively cheap to obtain. The equipment is always under around $50, or even in my case, it was under $20. So any equipment needed to play pickleball is really cheap and accessible to obtain. And another advantage of this conditioning program is there's not a large learning curve with this sport. Even though I haven't played pickleball in 5 months, and before that I haven't played like in a year and a half, it only took me around 2 games to get accustomed to all the rules and all the techniques that are associated with this sport. So when we're looking at disadvantages of pickleball, one of the main things is the sense of challenge can diminish over time the more you kind of play the sport, because due to like smaller learning curve that we kind of see with this conditioning program, the more people play it, they could get a little bored with it due to like the sense of challenge just like decreasing over time due to the relative ease of the sport and whatnot. So people that are seeking like the level of like tennis and the difficulty associated with that probably will be let down with the sport pickleball. Another disadvantage we kind of see is that if you're not accustomed to a sport with a lot of change of direction, the initial jump into pickleball might be a little difficult for some individuals.